You ever wonder what it'd be like if you couldn't see the world the same as everyone else? Yeah, probably not. If your eyes work properly, I doubt this is a thought that's ever crossed your mind, but you clicked on this video, so I'm gonna show you anyway. I'm not super open about the fact I'm colorblind because the truth is I forget that I am until other people point it out, especially in my comments. People keep asking me why my game looks so weird because theirs doesn't look like that. But to me, it's always looked that way. I have never seen what some games originally look like since I always turn on colorblind mode before I play a game. Cyberpunk's HUD has always been this purple color, and I'm only now seeing what it looks like originally because I'm making this video. Would you believe me if I told you I didn't play Red Dead Redemption? It was technically Pink Dead Redemption on my side. I have red-green color blindness. It doesn't mean I can't see red or green, I just have a harder time detecting these colors. And like me, since colors are on a spectrum, what normally fuck, sorry. What normally happens is depending on the shade of red or green, my eyes will normally detect the next closest color. So red can turn to pink, brown, or orange, and green normally turns to blue. So what does that mean for games? It means that these two colors have been the bane of my existence because since the dawn of video games, game studios are obsessed with making jungle maps, and seeing all of that green and being forced to aim with a red sight makes me want to jump out of a window. It also doesn't help, it's the standard that green represents your allies and red is for the enemy. Now, colorblind modes didn't start becoming a standard in every video game until 2018, I feel like. Before that, some games had it and others didn't, and I just have to deal with that. See, in the mid-2010s, when you turn on colorblind mode, it might change the color of the menu, and that was it. As the years progressed, they moved to changing the color of some elements on the HUD, but still forgetting to change the color on the most basic things from red or green. While I am glad almost every modern game since the 2020s has a colorblind mode now, they still haven't quite gotten it right. There's still some things they forget to change the color of, like the icon of enemies on the minimap, the lasers on claymores, especially claymores. If you ever 1v1 me, just set these up all over the map and go hide. It'll sound like somebody's walking through a minefield with a blindfold on because I never see these two lasers. And speaking of lasers, I never use laser sights either because I can't see them anyway, because they're red or green and they just give away my position. The Modern Warfare 2 2022 reboot was the first game I remember playing where I saw a blue laser sight, and I've been wondering ever since why there aren't more of them in games. But the thing that baffles me the most is that they never changed the color of the one thing I use the most, reticules. Every single first-person shooter has red or green reticules, and turning on the colorblind mode has never changed the color of them. Forget the HUD elements. If I turn on colorblind mode and it only changed the color of my sight and nothing else, I would be happy because it's what I use the most. But apart from shooters, my other favorite game genre handles it even worse. Racing games are my other pet peeve because they straight up don't come with colorblind modes. Now I know what you're thinking, it's a racing game, you don't have to aim, why would you need a colorblind mode? Well, because unlike shooters, the HUD elements in racing games, especially simulation ones, are actually very important, and I can't ignore them because it could cost me a race. The racing line is color coded the same as traffic lights, and the brake and tire temps are represented like this. Blue is for cold, green is for when they're in the optimum temperature window, so you can start pushing your car and going faster because you'll have the grip. The problem is, I can't see when my tires go from cold to warm or too warm because it all looks like one color. So I drive very cautiously and hope that my tires are warmed up after a while, and the downside to doing that is in races, everyone around me just starts pushing because they can tell when their tires are warmed up, so I speed up when they speed up, but that doesn't always mean that my tires are ready. I also hate racing on tracks I don't know that well because when I turn on the racing line, and depending on that time of day or the weather conditions, when the racing light turns yellow or red before a corner to tell me to slow down or brake, it kind of just turns invisible to me and I can't see it at all. So I hope in the future racing games start using colorblind modes because these are just two of the many issues I have with them because so much vital information is red. Battlefield 3 is the first game I've ever played that had a colorblind mode added from a patch back in 2012, and it made such a huge difference for me. A game I already loved got even better. It didn't affect weapon sight sadly, but being able to see objectives and spotted enemies better was already a huge step up. When accessibility features are done so well, not only do they benefit the people they're intended for, but sometimes they benefit everyone else. This colorblind mode was so good and made the HUD more legible that it became suggested to turn on colorblind because you could see better, giving you a competitive advantage. Majority of the player base was now using this colorblind mode as a result. It was actually in a lot of those pro tip videos to turn on the colorblind mode. Fortnite is another example of an accessibility feature being implemented so well that everyone uses it, which is the audio visualizer. This is meant for people with hearing impairment, and I'm sure everyone isn't deaf, but they sure use this because seeing where sounds come from makes a huge difference and gives you a competitive advantage because you have the info to pinpoint where that sound came from. I don't normally use this because I don't like it on my screen, but I turned it on for the first time just to capture footage for this video, and I almost won my first match. It made matches insanely easier. If there's two games that stand out to me for having the worst colorblind modes, it's Modern Warfare 2019 for having a colorblind filter that literally changed the color of nothing, and Rainbow Six Siege. Siege is the first game I stopped playing after 5 years because of my color blindness. Far Cry 5 is the second because again, I really hate jungle maps. I still feel like I never hit my skill ceiling in Siege, but I did hit a ceiling due to not seeing colors. The better I got, the harder enemies I go against, which is fine because I love the challenge, but going against high level diamond players started to become an issue where my reaction time had to be lightning fast, and it was getting there, but my eyes couldn't keep up. Not being able to see enemy pings from across the map and instantly act on it because they're red, when the team is depending on me to clutch, it's not ideal. Also not seeing claymore lasers, and again, red reticules. The reason I was so disappointed in Siege's new colorblind mode is because I was hoping with this added I could go back to playing the game, but no. This is the laziest implementation of an accessibility feature I've seen in a while, and I would prefer them to just not bother getting my hopes up and calling it a colorblind mode because it's not. What Rainbow Six considers a colorblind mode is being able to change your sights between 10 preset colors. The reason this is so poorly thought out is because that's just it. That's where their colorblind mode begins and ends. Siege's maps are very colorful, so it's easy to identify your location and give a call out to that part of the map. So imagine my surprise when changing my sight to blue or orange and I can see my reticule properly in one side of the map, and then in another part of the map I'm back to not seeing because my sight is blending into the environment. I'm aware this probably looks normal on your screen, but trust me, to me it's not. I'd have to switch the color of my sight depending on the map. Also, vital game information is still red, like enemy pings, so 0 out of 10. On the flip side, the best colorblind mode implementation goes to Apex Legends. I have my many issues with Apex, which is why I no longer play it, but I will always give it praise for its colorblind mode and how they implemented it. Justin Mass was a dev on Twitter, and every few weeks he'd post a prototype with different color shields and ask people who were colorblind which ones they preferred, and in a few weeks it would be added in the game. And they did this through multiple rounds and lots of testing. When you turn on colorblind mode, it actually changed your reticule. It wasn't the best, but having a pink reticule was better than red. And then they dropped a patch that gave you full customization of your sights, colors, brightness, opacity, outline, everything. And my accuracy went through the roof, and I was much better than I originally thought I was, simply because I could see where I'm shooting now with a white reticule. I was beyond happy already, but they just kept adding updates, changing the color of pings, healing bars, pop-ups, you name it. They went above and beyond in the accessibility department, and I'm forever grateful for that because, playing Apex for 4 years and not having to worry that I'm being held back by my sight was kind of a good feeling. So now I can change the color of my sights in modern games. I can put a dot on a person from any range and accurately kill them instead of spraying in their direction and hoping they die. I can confidently take headshots in long range fights now, and it's great. I always find it funny when people compliment my aim because to me it's like, you think I'm good at this game, but my secret is the entire time I can't see where I'm shooting. So yeah, I think that's funny. But after Battlefield 3's colorblind mode, you'd think that Battlefield 4 would follow suit, but sadly no. Its colorblind mode was just not as good as its predecessor because of the holographic effect on the text. They did change the colors, but that effect still made it kind of hard to see. And in one of the very last updates they put into the game before support was ended was the ability to change your reticule color to anything you want all across the board, just like in Apex. Weapon scopes, scalable HUD elements, and even the color of the vehicle HUDs and pop-ups, you can change it to whatever color you want, and I think this is always the best solution of any kind to colorblind accessibility. Just let players select the color they want with the options to change opacity and brightness, because choosing between the 3 pre-selected colors in the different colorblind modes across all games is not good enough. And the exception is Modern Warfare 3 Reboot. I have no idea if it's the engine they use, the lighting, textures, I don't know what it is, but this is one of the few games where the red or green sights don't bother me. I can see clearly and it doesn't affect my aim at all. I don't even have the colorblind mode turned on for this game or Fortnite. I don't know how to end this video, so here's the questions I get asked the most when people find out I'm colorblind. Are traffic lights pink and blue? Honestly, sometimes, but it doesn't really matter because the position of lights are the same all over the world, so it's not a problem when driving. Are trees blue? No. Surprisingly, I've noticed stuff in nature is fine. Trees and grass are green, and I can tell very clearly the color on birds and flowers, so like natural stuff doesn't bother my color blindness. It only seems to be man-made things and like digital screens is mainly where it comes out. And like I said at the beginning, it depends on the shade. Like I can clearly see fire trucks and stop signs are red because that shade is not close to another color. And they want to get the most. Can you solve a Rubik's Cube? No, and not because I can't see the colors, but because it's hard. I'm sure if I gave you a Rubik's Cube, you can solve it. Unless you're one of the few people that can, in which case, fuck you, nerd.